Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Am I good? I'm back? I'm back. Hey, I'm back. Got that damn Texan internet's be acting up, yeah. So, hold on. Oh, fuck. I didn't hmm. I didn't get to see who won uh the poll. Can I look up poll results? No. It was Hedwin. I like 100% vote. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. Okay, I'm still like trying to order my pizza. Cool. Oh heck. I gotta put in my card. So yeah. How are you guys doing as I continue to order this pizza? Okay, cool. Pizza has been ordered. Hell yeah. Everything's good, right? Stream is still going. I need an answer just in case. Okay. Cool. Okay, so headwind. Do you give him plus to everything? Or do we give him the... Oh fuck, or did we give him... No, this one doesn't need to be for him, specifically. Okay. Wait, what? Why is it... You guys see that? Why is it turned black? Am I crazy? Okay, no, never mind. I guess it just does that with all of them. Oh, what do they have before we do this? Swing blast. I'm just going insane? Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's normal now. Okay, sure. Anyways. This is my shot. Go free, but can't just leave the rest of you.
Who shall strive for him?
We have a lot of people to choose from. Personally, I think. Yeah, Jodariel. Oh, you know what? That actually would be perfect because I've been using Pamitha to like try and kind of get rid of people as fast as possible with some things with her skill. That works. Sure, let's get him out of here then. Although I don't know if this necessarily is good for her. But the core aura casting range is good. But also this is good. Oh, this is basically the same. Yeah, let's go with this. Unless... better. No, we're good. As you will, Rita. Oh, look, just go easy on this knight, okay? Because he hasn't had it easy, and his fellow worm knights kind of want him out. Oh. Oh, you're crazy.
Commence.
no. You get no mercy. Ooh, 42. This music, I know. Yo, this might be a, like, clean sweep. What? Why? It is raining now. Just as this knight was beginning to think things could possibly not get worse for him. Now our poor Pyre is still getting soaked though. Although, Sir Deluge must realize this advantage applies equally to you. -10. Oh, wait. Okay, I was like, bro, are you going to tell me that it does a do or die? Oh, interesting.
No mercy shown.
Oh wow.
Flames grow weak.
You know what? Fair.
Oh, boo. United in banishment. And there it is.
There it is.
The Nightwings proved their worth. As for their adversaries,
And
they
Hedwyn
did
gets to
not.
go free.
Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus, the scribes have chosen. The exile appointed by the Nightwings shall be free. Absolved of all misdeeds. Return to glory in the Commonwealth. His adversary and all others shall remain to carry out their rightful sentences.
This night knew this is too good to be true. Excuse me. Did it? Then I guess that means I have to go. Broke my vow to him. We'd all go free together. Rita, friend. Would you do this? Will you ever forgive me? Of course. Akani, wait for me. Wait for me. You remain silent for a moment longer then. Listen to me, all of you. I will not forget this. If there's anything at all that I can do back on the other side to help the rest of you, I'm going to find it. And I'm going to do it. And at the very least, I'll do everything I can to make sure that by the time more of you come and join me back at home, it'll be a better place for all of us. Look, I don't have long now, so just thank you. All of you. I won't forget this. Then he plunges out of sight into the shimmer pool. His voice is audible, but growing faint. It's happening. Goodbye, my friends. Reader, everyone, goodbye. Till we see each other. He earned back his freedom, and he returned in glory.
Godspeed, Hedwyn. The 8 scribes are watching from afar. By their grace, may the cycle of the rites keep turning for as long as possible. Until the turning of the stars, farewell.
Farewell, farewell. You return to the wagon after having prevailed against the Pyre Hearts in the liberation. That's one less mouth to feed. It seems our group grows smaller. We succeeded in liberating Hedwyn. We have but a few such liberation rites remaining. Exactly how many I do not wish to speculate about, as yet, till such time as we can better say for certain. Under no circumstances would I suggest this ideal. However, it is opportunity enough that our plan may yet succeed. 64%. Although, all of these setbacks, yeah. Some of the others exchange looks. They are beginning to understand. The rites soon ending, everything which Wolfred has sought both on his own for many years, and now with all of you. All of it may have been in vain. The hush spreads to others, but not to you. You then proceed to do something that none of them seem to expect. You raise your voice. Each of your fellow exiles turn to you, their expressions asking you a question with no easy answer. What are you going to do? As you meet Pamitha's gaze, the words for the occasion begin to crystallize in your mind. You're searching for the right words. Your fellow exiles are looking to you now. Interact to gather your thoughts. Yes. You tell them that you all have stood together time after time throughout this quest and are now poised to gain that's the red seal tone. Lock in your yes. Okay, so this is us changing it. And are now poised to seize upon a glorious opportunity. You tell them that you are not going to mince words with anyone here because by now each of you knows each other well. You tell them that you have all struggled to come this far across the downside. Through many challenges which you have faced. You tell them that you have All have stood together time after time throughout this quest, and are now poised to seize upon a glorious opportunity. I think only a Hollow Fool would turn back now. That would be a grave disservice to the group. Nah. Which many challenge you have faced, only to reach this lowest point of the journey. I like this one. Only a Hollow Fool would turn back now. Your path to freedom still is laid bare before you all. True freedom is not waiting for you in the Commonwealth. And if you pursue this quest with any guarantees, it is a quest you all knew was unlikely to end well. It's clear now that all of you are going to return. Surely this is weighed heavily on them. One cannot assume that it would have a happy outcome. If you knew this outcome was a possibility. Yeah, I like this. None of you pursue this quest with any guarantees. It is a quest you all knew is unlikely to end well. The Commonwealth is already in upheaval. There you have unfinished business to conduct. You have to resist the forces that would crush you. But something far more vital is at stake. You see the imminent conclusion of the rites as a sign. It is a sign that the world is changing. Meanwhile, the stars themselves are shining on for you. All of what transpired cannot be a mere chance. All now have a divine duty to uphold. I like this one. Imminent conclusion. The disappearance of the stars can be no accident. Yeah. It is a sign that the world is changing. It is a sign that the world is changing. You now have an opportunity to live with purpose. For your people. For all those who shall live on. You all stand poised to ensure the world you leave behind for your loved ones. For your people is a world worth living. Now is the time to stand and fight the forces that oppose you. For each other. Own sake, for each other. World worthy of homecoming is a world worth living in. I like this. You all stand poised to ensure the world you leave behind for your loved ones, for each other. The world worth living in. If you can believe any of this, then believe, above all, in each other. Believe that the plan may yet be achieved. You cannot see merit in this quest. Look at it that way. Oh, hold on. Then you are unfit to stand among the Nightwings. Unfit to stand atop the sacred mountain. I feel like that's a bit mean. You look at it that way. Which side of the world you end up on is up to all of you. Each one of you in your own way. What are the other options for this? Whether you achieve your freedom is all up to you. Which side of the world you end up is all up to you. One of you. You need to see your journey to its end. Trust what your heart is telling you. Believe that the plan may yet you trust that you may yet prevail together. I like this. If you can believe any of this, then trust what your heart is telling you. Trust that you may yet prevail together. After a brief period of reflection, we share one last sentiment with the group. Let us stand together now. Let us stand together now and always. For mere distance cannot separate our spirits. Stars have not vanished, they have joined us. Let's bring about the harmony envisioned by the 8 scribes. The people of the Commonwealth need us as we need one. As much as I like the stars one, let us stand together now and always, or mere distance cannot separate it. Yeah, mere distance cannot separate spirits. Thus do you remain together with your thoughts. No one speaks for a time, but then... Thou wouldst dare to change this ancient world, reading one. And yet, thy words are tinged with certain truths. May long the stars remain a light for you, reader, sir. All the while, Volfred remains watching you intently. Then his expression softens, and he smiles. You are right, of course, my boy. We are the Night Wings. It is precisely as you said. Mere distance cannot separate our spirits. Lead us then, reader, to the end of our quest, and the dawn of the new age for all our kin. And everyone, for the Night Wings. Everyone responds in kind. In kind. Excuse me. I said that really weird. They stand with you no matter what. They await the outcome of your vision of the stars, which burn with renewed fury, because now the last rites beckon. Each of the Nightwings gain +1 hope. Permanently. Hell yeah. All the stars are currently active. Stars of the 8 scribes. They shine together now, as one. Lone Minstrel draws breath as though surprised by what he sees. He backs away and averts his eyes. This is another sign the rites are soon to cease. Few chances yet remain to confront the adversaries you have met during your journey. City dissidents. Let me look something up. Okay. Liberation rites conducted 4. There... We won't say how many. Excuse me. Okay. But we're not near the end of the game just yet. Like, not entirely. Which one should we do now? I'm just gonna ask either Parker or Udmild or Landell. Well, actually, I'm gonna. If you guys have any input, let me know. Just I want to look at the stuff real quick. This is 10. We have one loss. Oh, it tells you the rights to the next liberation one. Yeah, let's do. You know what? Let's do Parker. That Barker Ashpaw and his dissidents are frankly a disgrace to the traditions of rights. They care not for the path, but only for glory. He then shares with you what he has heard. Barker Ashpaw is a volatile cur whose pack, the dissidents, conduct the rites more so for thrill than freedom. Back on the other side, Barker never quite took to the culture of the Commonwealth. I mean, just look at him, he's punk as hell, and often ran afoul of the law for various acts of boorishness or vandalism. He always promised to go straight, and in time he found a certain niche, where he was an accomplished hunter. When the people of the Commonwealth did have an appetite, Parker relished the hunt more than anything, and his earnings on a variety of questionable things. One particularly raucous evening, Barker was caught relieving himself on the foot of the statue of Archjustice Angeles IV. Grand Judge who in 617 AS issued a decree prohibiting literacy in answer to growing unrest. Those who violate the law of the Commonwealth face sentencing by the appointed archjudges. In the downside, he caught the notice of the dissidents who observed his speed, ferocity, and fearlessness. Reputation grew among the exile's curs, who is feared and unafraid of taking what he wants. To think the Commonwealth's attempt to punish him afforded him a freedom that he never had. Oh, but it is very late. Good night, my boy. Usual for a restful evening in turn. And despite that, here he is. He looks up and smiles up as you approach. Hello, my boy. Excellent work back there. Thank you for your perseverance. Though, just reflecting on how very fortunate I've been in all of this. Not just me, but really all of us who had a chance to stand with Hedwyn here. Ours is, admittedly, a somewhat desperate plan. It was vital to me, should the Nightwings rise again, that it be under proper care and guidance. I was just thinking about how well Hedwyn served in that capacity. Whatever it is to be the outcome of all this, no doubt his presence shall be missed. My agents and I were unsure of him. A common boy like that, completely unacquainted with the rights. But, in the end, I felt it was worth a shot, someone like him. Sincere, determined, with loyal friends, and desperate to get home. Those qualities spoke volumes. I have every faith that he shall strive on our behalf now, in the Commonwealth, and it is my hope that he yet finds the one he sought. You and Volfred speak little more of Hedwyn for now. Well, just sure. Oof, okay. Oh shit, there's still stuff to read. Alright, let's get out of here. So I'm not gonna get to finish this today. That's simple enough to see. Oh heck yeah, I'm being delivered. But I'm gonna do this right. Essentially, I'll stream until we, like, I guess my pizza gets here. I don't know. But we'll probably finish it up on Monday. Just letting you know now. Wilfred approaches as you fly above his hidden lair, our dear alcove. I invest my agents to break down the place. It soon shall be gone, if it isn't already. We shall not be returning. We've not the time to do so anyway. And with Orlick back among the living now, and no longer fond of me, I dare not think what he would do with it. Unfortunately, hiding places are of little value once they're found. Once all of this is over, those of us who do not manage to return, we shall find another place to live. To try to live, at least. God, this music is a bop. Richard spots a convenient landing here. Ooh. You sense the presence of your adversary Ignarius here. I may learn of his recent activity. Do again, I'm asking you guys on this. Simple. Do you guys want to learn more about Ignarius and what he's doing? Or continue on? Get these vocations over in London. Essentially, do you want to learn about him, yay or nay? Yeah. Oh man. Oh. What's he up to? Is that you asking what he's up to, or you wanting to learn what he's up to? That's the question I'm asking. Is do you guys want to learn what he's up to or not? Share your interest. Okay. You arrive in the gloomy hollows of Flagon Hands, already anticipating the sinking feeling that comes with the place. This time, Bertrude has something to say for it. We shall show ye how to withstand the less pleasant qualities of this locale. It reveals various salves and minor enchantments that help to counteract the spirit draining effects of the region. Soon everyone is feeling better, if but for the assurance. Nice. Thanks be to Bertrude. we got a second one. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on bigfollows.com. There we go. Notice Bertrude studying the Beyonder crystal. Ye mouthy wraith, rebuke our attempt to summon her. She insisted that we are too young to understand. You must be referring to Sandra. It seems that Bertrude may be able to invoke her. Stubborn, that one. Possessing of an ancient understanding. Olden ways, olden times. Many centuries of history. Knowledge of the 8 scribes. Themselves held captive there. Thin that green tinged stone. Thin that wraith's own memories. Would that we could extract them in some way. Perhaps thou could induce the wraith's obedience, reading one. For she heed not. She claimeth obligations unto only thee. Although, she stops and thinks very carefully. The Yonder crystal is not to be tampered with. Fellow exiles know that its use is at your sole discretion. These bots appearing like Rudy isn't already famous. Exactly. He backs away from me, I'm still thinking to ignore the art inquiries about this reading one. A reason for taking such as elsewhere. Use her to cooperate. It's like to be an ancient warning of some sort. It is possible that others of the southern bogs know something of her. We shall not tamper further with such sorceries, so... That the wraith refuseth to cooperate suggesteth her predicament suitably deserved. He heads out in a huff, but just as the air grows quiet and still, you sense something from beyond her crystal. Mouthy wraith, she says. Can you believe it, reader? To be so young and foolish again. Sandra the Unseeing laughs to herself. Your proximity to the Beyond Crystal must have been sufficient to invoke her in this case. That crone of yours is far too curious, I think. It appears that even she has learned her lesson in the case. Think the stars ain't beholden no more than one among you, night wings at a time. And think the stars that happens to be you rather than her. If that crone attempts to lay a finger on my Beyond a Crystal again, she'll just have to torment her dreams till she's my age. Do feel free to mention that if it comes up. Now, farewell. Know where to find me, lovely reader. She vanishes. Seems that Sandra provides restraint to Bertrude's tampering. So much history is trapped within the Beyond her crystal, and it shall remain for the foreseeable future. I like Sandra. Yes, cannot talk to you. Why? Senses guide you to a scrying pool somewhere in the gloomy hollows of Plaguemont. Look upon the waters. Soon you experience a vision of Ignarius, who stood against Lendell and the accusers in his most recent right. What a joke. You ain't never gonna take the Nightwings if that's all you got. Shut your blasted mouth and quit your gloating, you. Try all you want. Ain't gonna change a thing. Let's go, boys. The vision fades. Seems the tempers prevailed against the accusers some time ago. And where the paths have taken them since. Vocation. Okay, but what if? I mean, getting Wolfred up. Good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Just mentor him for now. The boys are rolling out. Hell yeah. Stop the wagon. Now. The black wagon has stuttered to stop en route of the Pyre Relief. There's some commotion as Wolfred motions for everyone to be still. There. Ahead. It seems we have a visitor. He points into the distance. Being still, you see no sign of whomever Wolfred referred to. Still, he indicates caution. I am certain that I saw someone directly in the road. A tense moment passes, and another. Wolfred tenses up. There he is. Look there. Last you see him, see the cause of his concern. There's no mistaking who it is. Orlick stands there, near motionless. Atop some forgotten rock, jutting from the darkest corners. A fair distance away. He stands directly on the path of your black wagon. Yet he shows no sign of acknowledging the wagon's presence. He appears only to be waiting for something. For you all. Wolfred gets your attention quietly. Well, my boy, I'm open to suggestions here. Orlick likely hasn't come to pay a social visit. You have a right to get to. Orlick may wish to stand in the way, but he can be made to move. But of the rights is forbidden. Orlick may be here to talk. Reach out to him, perhaps you can communicate in peace. I'ma hail him. There has to be a reason Orlick, way to reason with him. I am uncertain Orlick is willing to be reasonable at this point. After everything he has been through, though, I am hopeful you are right. You give the signal for the drive imps to start the wagon and head towards him. But just as you reach the point where Orlick once stood, he has vanished. Surveying our strengths, perhaps. His motives are plain, but his intentions unclear. Indeed, Orlick is nowhere to be found now. The unnerving encounter causes everyone to fall silent for the remainder of the trip. The wagon finally arrived at the Pit of Melith. Still no sign of Orlick. Run! Oh shit! He's just in here. Something is wrong. Something here, alone with you. Orlick seems to be examining various objects in the wagon. Whether he has noticed you, you cannot tell. What he is doing here and how he got in unnoticed, I cannot imagine. You watch him go about whatever he is doing, examining all sorts of things that you and your fellow exiles gathered on your journey. He shakes his head. All of these trinkets. This wagon. It is most different now. Welcoming, and yet I am unwelcome here, it seems. In my own wagon. He directs his gaze at you, acknowledging your presence for the first time. You, a mere shadow. Tell me something. Who are you to them? Say you are their reader. Say you are their friend. Your relationship to this band has grown to become more than your role in the... Who you are, what you are, is of little consequence. Certainly not to the likes of him, or say nothing. Their friend. Me. Tell Orlek that you have traveled all across the downside with this group, and count them as your trusted friends. It is a different group now than in his day. A friend, is it? Beware then, for the Nightwings do not always treat their friends with all due charity. Relay the message to him. Relay the message for me, Shadow. Tell them, and I shall have my night. He strides right past you towards the door. Then he turns to you again once more. And I shall have my night. Then Orlek is gone. I'm their friend, Uwu. Singing sands, still called singing in the sound of countless screeching wheel mites. Huh. Several of your companions return as you exit the wagon. You explain what happened. However, none of them saw Orlek. I believe you, my boy. Orlek, he's unwell. It's good you did not come to harm. Now, let's make sure the same can be said of the wagon. Search the wagon, in and around, for any signs. Nothing. Even the drive imp seemed calm. Incident leaves you questioning your own recollection of what happened.
Catching flies?
He's a ghost? Yep. Pretty much. Hey guys. Come on in. Now, whatever that happened to that. Oh god, too much water. Whatever happened to that smiley headwind guy? Did he really get out of here like I've been hearing, or what? While the bearer triumvirate is banished, adversaries are slowed and cannot use abilities. Eh. Wait, 77. What did I want? Oh, it was, yeah, the flame leech. You know what? I've been doing this and like looking things up the entire time. Is it okay to sell legendary talent? Okay. Alright. Seems there's no issue for selling them. Oh, let's sell some of our old ones. Oops. For the scale. Look how much money we have. Gold bracer. He's Jesus Christ, look how much money we have. Okay. Buy this. Wanted it. They left the downside, now you can sell all their stuff. True. Absolutely. Let's buy some Stardust too. +5. All the Stardust. Cool, okay.
Compare your power mais.
Oh, dude, we don't have this one anymore. We kind of don't need it. Flame Leech would be very good with her. Also kind of everyone else. Wait, can I upgrade this? I cannot. Oh wow, okay. It deals an extra 4, but like, it takes so much to level up. I honestly don't know if we're gonna need some of these, like... This one, Big Bird Shoots, it's perfect. Like, it's so good. This one... kind of the same. Not bad. I'm wondering, like... I don't even need the money ones, really. I'm just gonna put these in the corner right now. This one is good. Don't know who I'm using in the next right, but this one is good. This one is also good. This is a good one for... I think I'm gonna put this on Volv. Having him keep the life stuff is good. For her skill. Ah, yes. While grasping... yeah, just while grasping the orb, you know, he doesn't need to use stamina for anything. Or plinging, maybe? Maybe. Dang. I mean, that's not a bad idea. But also... Sorry, this is the boring part of the game that I never really do. Because it's easy enough, but... Or not as not. Here's what I have to do. I'll stick with this. Yeah. Then I really don't have a use for... Well... Yeah. I could toss it all into that. I was just kind of trying to figure out which ones would be best to use, but... Let's not worry about that for now. And within your fellow exiles, exchange expectant looks. Some with each other, some with you. Though everyone is rather quiet. The vague concern in Gay, perhaps at having to confront the dissidents once again. As for Wolfred, he seems very much at peace, awaiting the stars to signal the nights. He doesn't have to wait for very long. Tattered mantle. After your adversaries grasp the orb, their auras shall slowly shrink rather than vanish. Holy fuck, that's terrible. Star of the Imp Titan, once slave by the traitor Elmer Ropecaller. Oh, is that why it's like a rope? Or like a mantle? Yeah.
Reader returns, along with his remaining retinue of miscreants. You managed recently to rid yourself of yet another one. Your adversaries, the dissidents. As with you, they must be very desperate for their freedom. They shall not make it any easier from here.
Take some water for this.
Got it, run it, nuts.
Oi! So it's you again, is it? You gave us a proper licking last time, and we owe you for it!
The dissidents. Let us show them what the Nightwings can do. Okay, that wasn't much I had to do. Holy fuck, he's
Shall it be this
look at that. Look at that. His aura. And decency exiled for 4 years. Scribrock. Plus 12 presents. Holy shit. What does he have? Look at this idol, yeah. 50% farther than usual. When Barker banishes adversaries by casting his aura, the Blanche can banish nearby adversaries. Okay, they all have the same. You gotta be good about this. Well, sort of. I'm gonna put you in.
Volfred.
Bertrude. A maybe? What is their hope? Okay, 622. So they're gonna be coming back pretty quickly. Maybe Pamatha. Would be pretty good.
Your choice.
I'm going.
Could I say?
We'll do Bertrude.
Bertrude. It is done.
We await the ancient rites commencement. Been itching for another go. Let's have it, mates! Tear 'em to shreds!
Begin. Somebody get the orb.
Oh fuck. That is a big explosion.
Audacious, aren't we? Quite
What?
foul
Oh,
for
I
the
didn't have enough stamina.
Nightwings. The orb bathes first within the Nightwing's flame. Take that, Barker.
Huh.
Wherever did
Huh.
the Nightwings go? Shame.
Okay.
This is the road to ruin. Now. Alas.
Fuck me.
Bertrude banished.
Oh, what?
Too bad for that one. With grace. Bad boy, Barker.
Yeah? You're,
with them. Oh, you poor Nightwings.
Oh my god, it worked.
Volfred banished. Indeed. The Nightwings now are closer to achieving victory. Sorry, Volfred.
Oh, fuck me.
Zap. She soared right in. Didn't see it coming. Unfortunate for the dissidents. All three Nightwings poof.
Wait, my
Pyre
Weird.
sputters.
like a fly trap.
You like that? You like that, eh? Little lick of flame back there. You better keep more than an eye on it.
Bye, Barker. Not much of a splash that time.
Like a fly trap, yeah.
Another vanished. Simply monstrous. Come on, my. Ho ho ho.
Oh shit, that was my fault. Yeah?
Positively brutish.
Can't catch me, can't catch me, can't catch me, fuck.
Well timed. Thoroughly banished. Flung
Woo.
with considerable precision.
Okay, we got this, we got this.
Now go on just once more. Yes. Who? Bye now, Bertie.
Oh, we did it, we did it. Hell yeah.
The Nightwings prevailed yet again. 'Twas the will of the 8 scribes which kept their flame alive.
My pizza's supposed to be here.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
Hold on, I need some water.
Black, what happened back there, mates? I'll have your hides for this.
Bask now in the wisdom of the scribes. I knew someday that even Volfred there would see the light.
Oh, my pizza was dropped off. I hope they didn't hear me. Oh gosh. Long did I bid my time. in anticipation that one day the Knights would reform under a common cause. To be a part of it myself, it nourishes the spirit. I hope they didn't hear me screaming. Oh god, that's so embarrassing. You know, let's go down this path. Guardian shield. Gonna go play some D&D. Thank you. I'm probably gonna end it pretty soon, so you have a good time with D&D. I'm gonna go grab my pizza real quick. I'll wait till I end the stream, but I got pizza. Alright. Back at the Black Wagon, you find the lone minstrel examining your fellow exiles for having secured the victory. It is plain to you that none of them look well. Raider, the faster turning of the cycles of the rites has put a strain on everyone. We have multiple cases of banishment sickness this time. It is fortunate that you or other companions are available to conduct the coming rite, because I fear that this group here requires rest. Okay, all of them. Stars yet shine for you, revealing the path forward. Okay. Where would we go? Oh, they're down here. Lundell. They're so far down there. Wait, who was up top? Oh. Oh. Let's go push Lundell's shit in too. Very well then, Raider. Once more you shall face Lendell the Accusers, when next the stars align. We may set course for the Cairn of Haub at dawn. Talk to. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and quit. Yes. Ooh. That was sorry. Honestly, kind of a long stream. Okay. I'm gonna go. I don't really have much to say. Monday we can finish this. Fortunately didn't really have time to show something that I wanted to do / work on. But you guys will see it eventually. We'll finish this on Monday. For sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're having a movie night if you're interested in that in the Discord. Gonna be going on in like 2 hours. Till then, just gonna be enjoying pizza. Let's read Wanderer. Streaming Sky. Yeah, let's go do that. Wanderer's a pretty good dude. Okay. I will see you guys on Monday. Hopefully we can finish Pyre. There's a couple games I'm looking forward to playing once we finish Pyre. As much as I love Pyre, as much as I'm having fun, like I'm having a lot of fun. I really enjoy the story in this and everything. Yeah. Okay. Let's go raid Wanderer. Give him some love. See you guys later. Bye.